The president expected to announce new tariffs, meantime, on all steel and aluminum imports into the U.S. Names like Cleveland Cliffs, U.S. Steel, Alcoa, and Nucor moving higher on that news. Let's get to Eamon Javers this morning with the latest from Washington. Morning, Eamon.
Yeah, good morning, Carl. We don't know exactly when we're going to see the president issue these new tariffs today. There is an event here at 1 o'clock this afternoon in the Oval Office where we might see the president on camera actually issuing these tariffs. We'll keep an eye on that. Here's what the president said yesterday about what he's exactly going to do today.
We'll also be announcing steel tariffs on Monday.
Tomorrow?
Monday, yeah, tomorrow.
What countries will those go on?
Everybody. Steel.
Including Canada and Mexico?
Yeah. Any steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% tariff.
What about aluminum?
Aluminum, too.
Meanwhile, Kevin Hassett, the National Economic Council director, was on CNBC a couple of hours ago, guys. There was this question that came up as Trump was talking on Air Force One yesterday. He said something about there being fraud in U.S. Treasuries, and a lot of people were immediately questioning, well, is he talking about the U.S. Treasury market, the debt markets? It looks like, and the guidance I'm getting from officials here is that no, what Trump was talking about in those comments yesterday that got a lot of people's attention was actually just this idea that the U.S. Treasury Department has been issuing payments that this administration has found were improper. They were not issuing payments correctly. Here's what Kevin Hassett said about that a couple of hours ago here on CNBC.
The Treasury Secretary has found that the controls for spending of the previous administration were unacceptable, that they were sending money out without knowing where the money was going. They were sending money out without flagging, what it was for. They didn't check before they sent the money out whether it was appropriated.
So, guys, we'll wait and see when we get these announcements. But what we're expecting as of right now is 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum coming from anywhere in the world into the United States. And then also these reciprocal tariffs that the president's been talking about in terms of tariffs on countries that have tariffs against U.S. goods themselves. So we'll wait for that announcement and see when we get the actual specifics. Back over to you.
So, Eamon, you look at a list of who is importing the most steel by origin to the United States, and Canada, for both metals, is above and beyond the biggest. For steel, it's $11 billion. For aluminum, it's $9.5 billion. And Mexico for steel is the second biggest importer. And I have to wonder, given what we've already seen with those two nations in the trade war, if there's a potential for a rollback on this as well, given that they cut a pretty quick deal.
Yeah, I think if you look at Donald Trump, he's a hardliner on all these issues, but he's a flexible hardliner. I mean, this is a president who's willing to take yes for an answer if he can get some kind of leverage and some kind of win from that leverage. So I think you're right as you look at that. Is there something that those countries could do to sort of, wriggle out of this by offering something to this administration? We don't see any indication of that yet necessarily. But with all these things, they're in place until they're not in place. And so you have to watch all the negotiations that are going on behind the scenes.
Meanwhile, Eamon, we thought maybe we'd get a little clarity on budget over the weekend. It looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. And this two-step between who we watch more, the House or the Senate, and then these ongoing headlines about to what degree they would be willing to dip into things like Medicare benefits.
Yeah, look, the president has said that he doesn't want any kind of benefits that go to the American people to be changed in any way. But, you've got a lot of people who are very excited about cutting spending. And if you want to cut spending, those social benefits are one of the places that you might have to go. So far, though, what this administration, what Doge has been saying publicly and what Elon Musk has been saying publicly is what they're going after is just going to be waste, fraud, and abuse. So any kind of improper, unauthorized payments that have been going out, sort of heedlessly from the federal government is something they're going to target. As for the strategy up on Capitol Hill, that's still all TBD as well, Carl.
Eamon, thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Eamon.